Arabian nights, like Arabian days, more often than not, are hotter than hot in a lot of good ways. Arabian nights, neath Arabian moons, a fool off his guard could fall and fall hard out there on the dunes.
Bravo, sir! I do
Thank you.
remember that song. Holy crap! Although I will say I'm disappointed you didn't add your own verse to it.
Oh, the Arabian Zouk.
Yep.
Oh dear, don't go into the story of that.
Oh, it's a great story. I love it.
Well, basically, I told a very spectacular lie one night.
Well, you started, so go on.
It
Let's
was
have
at the playhouse where me and John used to work. We had a sort
And
of
Will.
Oh yeah, Will, you were there, didn't you?
Oh,
all
I
work
was,
there.
I was
Yeah.
just in the background. Don't mind me.
Oh, yeah, Will was our boss. Now I start to think about it. We may have all been there on that night. You know, we were having like a network thing for young actors to meet casting directors. I forget who organised it, but we had a casting director or an actor. I forget the exact specifics about who he was, and he was kind of boasting because I think he may have got someone on Hollyoaks once. Apparently, that makes you a success. And I had a couple of pints. I was with my friend who was at the time was an amateur filmmaker and was looking for some actors to appear in his upcoming release. And I basically got a bit carried away with a little lie that I told, and for some bizarre reason, for which I can't really give you the reason for, he believed my lie, which was that I had done some voiceover acting in the direct-to-video release of Aladdin 4. Which I, in my arrogance and drunkenness, decided should be called Jafari Safari. The plot of Jafari Safari saw Jafar buy a zoo in Arabia, because that makes perfect sense.
Obviously.
And he kidnapped Abu, and Aladdin would try to save Jafar. Not Jafar, tried to save Abu from the zoo. And in my increasing arrogance, as he believed this implausible lie, I decided that this needed its own particular theme song. At which point, my theme song went something along the lines of Arabian Zoo, lots of fun things to do. Come see those giraffes, look at those big bats, lots of fun things to do.
Amazing.
Before anyone gets carried away, I own the copyright to all this.
Right, clearly.
You can't steal this idea.
We have now just been flagged for all kinds of copyright ID on YouTube.
I'm just going to get someone from Disney's just coming to the front door.
Yeah, quick, we need to get partnered with Polaris. They're owned by Disney, so then we'll be okay.
I assume you're getting the paperwork on the go, John.
Yes, I've got them on the phone right now.
Good to know.
I'm talking to Total Biscuit now.
I'm really
Hang on,
happy.
he's just conference calling PewDiePie in.
Good.
Excellent, we've got a partnership with PewDiePie. We're on the show with him next week.
Well, welcome to all my new 223 million subscribers. I feel now is the appropriate time to say fuck.
Anyway,
I hope everyone's enjoying the Aladdin podcast.
I am. I'm okay with this. I'm very okay with this. I don't remember any of the context of the cartoon, but now I really do want to go back and watch it again now. I don't recall it being that bad. You said it looked awful, but I don't recall it being that bad.
I think I may have watched an episode or two back in the 90s, but I can't remember it in any specific detail.
Well, I was a big fan of the Aladdin film, and the Aladdin
the
game.
Aladdin film is amazing.
The Aladdin film's amazing. The Aladdin game's amazing. So
Oh, yeah.
it only stood to reason that I would watch the cartoon as well, and I seem to recall quite enjoying the cartoon as well. It probably was awful, but I probably just had really god-awful taste when I was
What was it?
7 or whatever.
It was a Disney theme in the 90s, wasn't it? Every one of those films they released seemed to have a follow-up cartoon on the Disney Channel. Because there was one for the Lion King too, wasn't there?
Was there actually? I don't know about that one.
I think it was just The Adventures of Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh, that suddenly rings a bell. Yes, that's more of a spin-off than anything else.
And Hercules had one, I believe.
Did Hercules have one? Really?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, oh yes, I remember now. Hercules had a crossover with Aladdin.
Wow.
What? I don't remember that one.
Yes, I vaguely remember because Jafar died and he met Hades.
What? What? I don't even. What?
That's
There are no words.
That's your stellar Disney Channel 90s entertainment right there for you.
Fair enough. Okay then.
Can we get back to the point?
Should we do a podcast here? That might be a thing we could do.
No, let's just exchange memories of the 90s.
The problem is I can't remember anywhere near as much as it seems like everyone else can. Whenever anyone else is like, "Hey, do you remember that cartoon?" Every time that kind of conversation comes up, I'm the sort of person who stood at the back going, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember these." Apparently, my brain cells didn't work during my childhood. Apparently, I had no long-term memory.
I think this is the new series for my intros. I'm going to do 90s Disney's god-awful cartoon intros for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, fair enough. I won't stop you.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you tried.
I can mute you. I can totally try.
That would have involved you having to sing the intro.
Well, I've still got Red Dwarf. Sorry?
And do your own segues.
Oh, I can probably handle that. And I've still got Red Dwarf lined up.
Oh yeah, we still need to do Red Dwarf at some point.
That's mine for the 1 week you inevitably don't turn up or something. That's the backup theme tune. It's probably the only one I can do.
Anyway, welcome to the Bun and Mash podcast.
We will hopefully be talking about video games and video games accessories. Welcome to the podcast. The theme tune this week was Aladdin from Aladdin the cartoon. Was that not from the film at all? It vaguely rings a bell in regards to the film.
I think
it was the intro to the original film as well.
Oh right, so it's both then. Okay, whatever. Yeah. It was just the Aladdin theme tune. Sure, go with that.
Yep.
As sung by Michael.
Hello. I'm sorry we wasted 10 minutes of your life there.
Oh, it's only 7.5. It's fine.
That's so much better.
We are also joined this week by Will.
Hey,
we are the Button Mash podcast. We talk about video games and video game accessories. We will be talking about, to begin with, our gaming experiences for the week, and later on we'll have some video game releases and some news from the past week. So shall we begin?
Why not?
Now, let's talk about our gaming experiences for the last week. What's everyone been playing?
Right, so I've been playing Alien Isolation this week, and I finally managed to finish it. I know that I said I was going to savor it and maybe play a couple hours at a time, but I had a big 6-hour binge on it and managed to get through the last section of the game, and it was utterly satisfying. I can barely find fault with the game at all.
That good, huh?
Pardon?
High praise indeed.
Very high praise. Like, I knew that this was going to be my game of the year long before it was even released. So I'm so glad that it lived up to expectation.
So I naturally assume the game ended with you and the alien making amends and going your separate ways.
We went separate ways, definitely.
Was it at the end of a flamethrower, though?
No, do we do spoilers?
You ran out of flamethrower, or you would have done it anyway.
I didn't actually. I didn't run out. Really? I managed to save all my ammo. I was so pleased. We're doing spoilers, aren't we? People have finished this game by now.
Probably.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Okay.
Go.
Well,
okay.
If you don't want spoilers, skip ahead about 5 minutes in the video, and if you hear the word alien mentioned sometime around that point, we haven't finished talking about it, and skip ahead another 5.
If you're still hearing me gush, then carry on.
That's about the shape of it.
Right.
I think
well,
we're covered.
Where I last left off when I was savouring it, I had to give up all my weapons. I had to give up my flamethrower, my beloved flamethrower, to access a security door, and then I had to fight lots of robots without any weapons, which was so difficult. And But this was all while after the alien had been sucked out of the airlock after the last time I talked about this.
Yeah,
I remember, yes.
And
We were talking about the viability of the flamethrower as a method of propulsion, I remember.
Yeah.
we wasted 2 hours on that.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did. And I speculated whether this was actually the same alien from the first film, and I found out that it wasn't. And there are more aliens, and it's utterly terrifying because you have to go down into the alien nest where there's a lot of facehuggers, and this game already has enough instant death action sequences. So as soon as a facehugger latches onto your face, that's it. You have to go right back to the save point. And it's really difficult because you're not looking at the floor all the time.
Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Still can't say I think it'd be the sort of thing I want to play, but clearly it has left an impact on you.
It's left a massive impact on me because it was so true to the film. There's just so much suspense. It's not all action and gore. There's hardly even any gore in it. So very true to the original films.
Cool.
I
Sounds good.
have to say though, I would with all the eggs and all the face huggers, there's no Queen Alien in the game. That really disappointed me. No big action sequence with fighting the Queen Alien or even just blowing her up.
Surely that
So we
sort
know-
of seems kind of final. If you kill the Queen Alien,
Yeah, I
can aliens
really
make more
suspect,
queens?
Maybe they're
I
saving
suspect
it for
they
a
can.
sequel.
Okay.
I suspect they can make more queens, but knowing that there was a Queen Alien on board that had to lay all the eggs, and never having seen it, that was a little bit disappointing.
Maybe they're
I
saving it
thought
for a sequel.
that
They're going to sell it to
It
you as
looked-
DLC.
Wow.
I already have all the DLC, clearly.
Okay.
But it's kind of ruined me for video games. The narrative, the gameplay, it was just wrapped up so nicely for me that I can't think of anything to top it.
Oh, wow.
I finished this on Friday and it's now Sunday, and I haven't found anything in that time that could possibly replace this for me. But I'm so emotionally exhausted because I was so immersed in this atmosphere that I just don't know what else to play now.
So you are hereby announcing your retirement from the Button Mash podcast because you're never going to play another video game again.
No, unless it's Alien.
All right. Well, we'll have you back when the next Alien game comes out.
That's a troubling proclamation, isn't it? Really?
Isn't it?
When you play a game that good that you never want to play another game afterwards.
I played a lot of very good games. I never thought that about any of them.
Really? But like this all goes back to my childhood when I was so immersed in Geiger's artwork and all the films, and I don't know. This hit me pretty hard for a video game, more than I'd care to admit.
All right.
Oh, you are a massive fan of the films, aren't you, sir?
Huge.
And maybe when let's face it, film franchise games generally tend to be quite disappointing.
Oh, definitely. Even sequels and spin-offs of the Aliens have been terrible. But
Yeah.
I think because this game went right back to the roots of the film, it worked stupidly well. And when they're talking about making Prometheus 2, I know we're going on to movies for a little bit now, but
Go ahead, whatever.
when they're talking about the alien in Prometheus 2, they're talking about a massive redesign that's going to change it. And I'm thinking, after people have played this game, people like me who are really big fans of the series, they're not going to be so happy about that.
Yeah,
I mean, the alien is the iconic monster, the iconic alien of the 80s. it's not going to be easy to top that.
But, Hollywood. They don't care about the game.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. You're comparing it to the movie, and I was like, how many of the movie audience are they going to have expected to have played the game? Probably not that many.
I'd expect a lot of people that liked the film to play the game.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Okay. Fair enough.
But in any case, I wouldn't go messing with the design of the alien if it were me, because I think that's what the fans really liked about the franchise.
Fair enough. Could they not evolve? They're aliens. They could evolve.
Well, I think
Are you seeing a Pokemon kind of scenario where the alien just evolves? What's this? Alien is evolving.
You have to make the alien hold an Everstone.
I think there's kind of an unwritten rule where if the alien gestates in a different series, it changes slightly. It takes some of that genetic makeup from the host and it adapts itself. Like in Alien 3, where it bursts out of the dog, it's a little bit smaller, a little bit slimmer, fingers are kind of fused together in different places, and it's more agile. So, I don't know, but
I've just got
we'll see. We'll see where they take it.
I've just got an image of an alien turning into a Blastoise.
Yeah.
And it's just glorious. An alien with hydro cannons mounted on his back.
Oh god, save us all.
It's never quite explained in the world of Pokemon how Blastoise got cannons on his back.
Evolution.
How do you evolve to have a cannon in you?
Well, basically,
no Pokemon had that.
It was on an isolated island, and that was the best. The sort of random mutations in the genetic pool. One day, a turtle just happened to wake up, and it had kind of like a pea shooter on its back, and that gave it a combat advantage against all the other turtles. So it survived a bit longer. Then that turtle then went on to breed with another turtle that had a pea shooter, and it eventually ended up with a cannon.
Somewhere Charles Darwin has come out of his grave, torn up his work and gone, I'm done.
Charles Darwin is spinning so fast you could strap a magnet to him and turn him into a dynamo.
Oh dear. So, yeah, Alien. Highly recommended by the Button Mash podcast.
So it would seem.
Well, by me mostly.
You are allowed to speak for the Button Mash podcast. You are a part of it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, John's the face, I'm the ass, and you're the heart.
I'll be the elbow.
And together we can make a giant Megatron thing.
Oh dear, I should have done Power Rangers.
Yeah, Power Rangers.
So what have you been playing this week, John?
What have I been playing? I've played a little bit more Freedom Planet, working my way through Carol's levels, which you can find on my YouTube channel.
Really? You have a YouTube channel?
Yes, have I never mentioned it before?
Why, no, I don't recall.
I'm pretty sure I have.
I mean, John, if people, I don't know, had the crazy notion to watch these said videos, is there a link that they could follow to see them?
They could. It would be at youtube.com/buttonmashempire.
I think we did that fairly seamless.
That's pretty okay.
If I could high five you, I would.
Virtual 5. I'm high-fiving you in spirit. Anyway, yes, I've been playing through that. I finally got onto... I think there's one level for each of the characters in the game, and I wasn't rightly sure where it was going to be. It was like one level that's like exclusive to that character, so I finally got different content for Carol. She's got one level, which is like a ninja hideout kind of thing, which Lilac doesn't get. Because Lilac, story, minor spoilers I suppose, runs off in a strop and goes and takes down some giant evil flying fortress thing. Because that's what you do when you're upset.
Oh yeah, you get very ambitious when you're upset.
Yeah. So she runs off, fights a bunch of giant robots. Meanwhile, Carol, her friend, goes and infiltrates a ninja hideout.
I think this is how the Second World War started, I believe.
Pretty much.
Hitler was upset. Decided to take on the Polish ninjas.
I feel like I probably spent a lot longer on that level than I did the others, because it was like, I know I'm not coming back here, at least I don't think I'm going back here, so I'm going to spend as much time as I can exploring this level as thoroughly as possible, trying to find all the secrets. In retrospect, I realised I didn't actually do that with Lilac's level. Lilac, I do know exactly which level she got, but I didn't go through and explore everything with her, which I'm now regretting, but hey-ho. But yes, I'm playing through the game a lot faster than I did with Lilac, with Carol this time around, and I'm enjoying it a lot more, because I think the problem with doing a lot of stuff on YouTube for me is that if I start doing a series and it takes too long, I kind of get burned out on it, because it's a game that should take, I don't know, 5-6 hours to get through, maybe? If it takes me 2-3 months to play through a 5-6 hour game, by the end of it I'm just like, I am sick of this, can I finish this game already? And I realise a lot of people...
It does sound like you're really, really, really intensively playing it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, I'm just playing, it's just because I'm playing it, it's dragging it out. It's like I'm playing like half an hour a week, and then I'll come back next week and play another half hour, if that, and it's just in little bits and bites all the time, and it's like, oh, it's really tedious. I really wish I could just sit down and finish the game. You know, I want to binge on it, and I realise for, you know, like I say, when I was saying it's 5-6 hours, that would be totally feasible to binge on it, but at the same time, vocal cords don't tend to hold out that long. By the time I've been going for 2-3 hours, I'm just like, I want to stop talking now. So yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah, there's an element of that, but yeah, I suppose like a lot of people do longer games in big sessions. I know a lot of people will just record like three hours at once or whatever, and then just cut it up into bits and upload it over a few weeks on YouTube. And it would probably make a lot more sense for me to do that, but I don't know. At the same time, at that point, there's also a lot of downtime between making stuff, and I'm like, I want to keep doing this. I want to make more stuff. I'm just kind of finding the right balance is difficult for me, I think. But with this one, because I already know most of the levels, I'm finding it a lot easier to burn through them. I've fought all the bosses once before, so I'm getting killed by them considerably less. They're still killing me, but not nearly as much. It's just getting the strategy right. When you got one character that plays like Sonic and one character that plays like Knuckles, it's like I know exactly what the boss's attacks are because I fought the boss before, but the strategy needed to defeat it is slightly different. So there's that in there as well. But overall, I can get through each of the levels in about half an hour or so, whereas before it was taking me a lot longer to do one level, and I'd kind of end up breaking it up, and it ended up dragging out. So this time I just got through in much faster through the game, and I'm just enjoying it a lot more because of that. So Freedom Planet still getting a thumbs up from me. That's
Brilliant.
Cool.
Good.
Also picked up on Friday. Amazing game. Amazing game. I haven't actually done anything yet in it, but it's an amazing game.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with a game called Cherry Tree High Comedy Club.
It doesn't come off the top of my head.
I did play it on my YouTube channel a while back. It had been out on Steam for a while. I can't remember exactly when I covered it, but I did do it. It's a Cherry Tree High Comedy Club I picked up probably during like the Christmas sale or something on Steam. Because it's one of those ones, it just caught my eye because it looked ridiculously stupid. And it had a demo going at the time as well. Probably still does for that matter, to be honest. I downloaded the demo and I was like, this is going to be funny. I'm going to play this just because this is going to be quite a fun. It's going to be hilarious to see how completely stupid and pointless this game is. I want to have a laugh at how bad this game is. It was so good.
Isn't it awkward when the irony comes back to bite you?
It's really compelling. I was like, oh, I need to buy this game now, and I did. And I played through it a couple of times to get the good ending. It's absolutely falls into the category of stupid anime bullshit. It really does. It's a kind of non-linear visual novel thing. It's about anime girls an anime girl who wants to start up a comedy club at her school, and she goes around making friends with lots of the other girls in the town and trying to start up her club by recruiting people into the club.
It sounds like a terrible sitcom.
It's the comedy in it is really bad as well. Yeah, there's a lot of really bad puns and terrible humor in it. You'd probably love it. You probably would actually.
Yeah.
You have to get me
right up your alley.
You're probably going to get me a copy of this.
I might
What
do.
are you talking about? He was one of the writers.
No, I would love that to be on the resume. Just randomly, he wrote this game.
Well, Cherry Tree High, I, My Girls is the sequel to it, and that came out on Friday.
Give us an example of some of these puns, just so I can get a flavour of what.
Oh, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Oh, well, I'm giving you a test.
Well, I failed your test.
I want puns, damn it.
I'm not giving you them. It's just bad humour through and through, to be honest. But, yeah. It's kind of got, like, laugh track in all the wrong places and stuff, but it's got the most upbeat, cheerful background music through and through. I'm just bouncing along to it the whole time because it's so cheerful and upbeat. It's impossible to not love the game. It's just so joyous through and through. Every bit of it just oozes fun. There's not much game there, to be honest, at all, but it's just fun through and through. I don't know why. I don't know what they've done. The formula's just perfect. So as I say, this is a sequel to it, and honestly, it's not quite the same thing. This one just seems to be a linear visual novel thing. It's just people talking to, just anime characters talking to each other, and some very, very poor animation of the sprites, and again, a lot more poor humour and great soundtrack.
Oh, that's all you need in a game.
I played about 45 minutes of it. That's got me through the prologue and the first chapter of the game, and that's, like I said, that's about 45 minutes. There are 12 chapters in the game, and they advertised it saying, oh, this game's going to take about an hour to 2 hours to play through. Something doesn't add up here. Either I'm playing through it ridiculously slowly, or there's a lot more content than they've advertised. I'm not sure which it is.
I know what my money's on.
So, yeah, either way, I'm doing it on my channel. I'm doing all the voice acting for it, which is half the fun of doing that kind of thing for me. I guess you completely stupid voices for all the characters. I think that's part of the reason I enjoyed it so much as well, because I like doing silly voices for characters. So, as I say, I played through the prologue, I played through the first chapter. I have not had any gameplay whatsoever yet to do. It's just been entirely dialogue. It's like the prologue and the first scene. In any other video game, that would be nothing but cutscene. This is the game here so far. And I'm kind of wondering, are the other 11 chapters more of the same? Have I just bought a story here? If I have, I'm not going to complain too heavily, to be honest with you, because I'm really enjoying it. But at the same time, I'd like some gameplay with my story. Just a little bit. A tiny bit. Just a smidge.
Well, you're not getting it.
Well, with a lot of visual novels, it's kind of that formula. It's kind of a lot of linear narrative for a very, very long time. You can go hours and hours before anything happens, and then these are more your traditional kind of your dating sim kind of things, and then you'll get like one decision to make, and you'll have two options, and you pick between one of two options, and that determines the path that the story takes for the next hour or so of action, or if you can so call it. But yeah, Cherry Tree High Comedy Club obviously had a little bit more gameplay. You obviously had to go around and level up skills and manage your money and resources and things between trying to progress the story and by interacting with people and talking to them and conversing with them and improving your relationships. You slowly unlocked more and more of the story, and the best ending was gotten by unlocking all of the story with all of the side characters. Whereas this one, like I say, there's been no gameplay at all. I haven't had to do. There have been no meters. There have been no currency. There have been no stats. There's nothing. I haven't even had the opportunity to walk around the town yet. I've been given no directional control over my character. So I don't know where it's going, but I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Also, in the stupid voice acting kind of field of things,
Genre.
Yeah, I finished Secret of Monkey Island.
Ooh.
Huzzah!
Which is something I've been playing for the last couple of months, which has been my Patreon exclusive video series.
You have a Patreon exclusive series?
I do, Michael, I do indeed.
Where can people go to that? How can they donate?
They could go to patreon.com/buttonmash, where they can contribute to my making videos on a daily basis, and that would be super appreciated.
As you might have guessed, he needs the money.
Yes, I've turned to begging for money on the internet. That's how my life is going.
Oh, that's how everyone makes their money these days.
It is what everyone's doing. It's the in thing these days. It's just part of the cool kids club now.
Go on then. Tell us about the game.
Secret of Monkey Island. Obviously, there's not a lot to say. I mean, it's a game from 1991, so I hope most people have played it by now. But
someone might not have.
The main point of order I wanted to bring up, I mean, as I say, I tie it into the Cherry Tree High thing by virtue of the fact that I played through it in exactly the same way, in which was I just did all the voice acting for all the characters, which has been immense fun. But on top of that, something we discussed a couple weeks back, I can't remember, I presume it was on the podcast, because I can't imagine where else we would have discussed it. Will mentioned items within Monkey Island, and we were discussing the utility of the staple remover.
Oh, go on. Where did it come in again?
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
It doesn't. You don't use the staple remover for anything.
I'm sure it has a use.
No, I finished the game without using it. If it has a use, it's a hidden use, because I finished the game without ever using it.
I'm so sure I used it for something. I don't know what.
And this is like a hidden thing? I don't know. Also, there's one thing I was kind of rambled on about this during the credits for a while of it. Are there two endings to The Secret of Monkey Island?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not majorly different ones, but subtly different ones. Because the ending I got this time, and I presume was actually the first time I ever played The Secret of Monkey Island I got as well, because I don't recall it being any different, is there's a brief scene, a very, very brief scene, of your three mutinous crew members on board the ship. Oh, in fact, they're in the cannibals' jail after you sank their ship. You have to do the weird teetering rock puzzle on top of the mountain, and you throw the rock, and the rock hits the ship and sinks the ship. Whilst they're busy just sunning themselves out there because they refuse to help you.
I don't remember that at all.
Okay. That bit's optional. The bit where you have to balance the rock and throw the rock and hit the ship, that's totally optional. The bit you're doing that is you're supposed to aim it at a different area and try and hit the banana tree to get the bananas to feed the monkey.
Oh, yes, yes.
But if you aim the rock in a different direction, you hit the ship and sink the ship. And at the end, the crew members are like, I don't think that rock hitting us was an accident. But at the same time, throwing that rock out the ship was totally optional because that wasn't the puzzle. The puzzle was to hit the tree. So I presume, I can only imagine, if you just hit the tree and didn't sink the ship first, or at any other time, surely to God, there'd be a different scene there.
I would not be surprised in the least. It's that kind of game.
Yeah, now I want to play through it again just to see the alternate ending. I don't think I got that kind of patience.
No, I can't imagine it would be much different. And it's a fairly long game, isn't it?
It's about... I've done it in 12 episodes, each of those being about half an hour long, so it's about 6 hours.
It's a long time of pointing and clicking.
It's a long time of pointing and clicking, but I suspect there'd be much less faffing around doing it immediately afterwards. I could probably get through it. Firstly, I could skip a lot of the voice acting and text and stuff. I can just click through it because I've already just seen it. And a lot of the faffing about going, I don't know how to do this puzzle. How do I do this puzzle? I'm wandering back and forth for a quarter of an hour around the fucking island. That bit can go. I reckon you could get through it a lot faster the second time around, but at the same time, I still don't know if I could be bothered.
No. I think it's something that I would definitely come back to in maybe 5 or 6 years.
If I can, yeah, well, maybe. And then if I can remember that I need to do the alternate ending.
Yeah.
If I haven't totally forgotten that there is one. I was just like, lol, I sank the ship. Oh, shit, I wasn't supposed to do that. I mean, the other way to do that would have been to have made more frequent saves throughout the game so that I could go back to like 3/4 of the way through the game and just play the ending again.
Of course.
But I didn't think that far ahead. I only had one game save and I just overwrote it at every available opportunity.
As you would do.
Although, actually, I suppose you don't save the game at the end of the game, so presumably there should still be a save like half an hour before the end of the game. Ooh, I might be able to use that. Intrigued. I'm going to have to do that now. I'm going to have to go check that out. So that's the thing. That's kind of That's probably the most. I did play. Oh, yes, Wildstar, I suppose. Discussed last week the solo content.
Oh yeah.
I went and did it at last. Yeah, I went and did it. It took me about an hour and a quarter to do. It wasn't that long actually. It was kind of a cool mission though. A lot of escorting talkie stuff though. You're kind of escorting whichever faction you're with. It's kind of one of the important people in the faction. You have to escort them through this big cyber technology advanced alien race facility to get to. You have to do a lot of various sci-fi techno-babble stuff, to be honest. There's a lot of words that don't make any sense outside of the context in which they're used, and even then don't make much sense.
So your character's doing a lot of polite nodding then.
Mm-hmm. So there's me with this, it's Belle Walker is the character that you go through with the Exiles, who's this sort of southern belle, got this southern drawl going on. And she's... Yeah, she goes through and she picks up some crazy exosuit and starts smashing away through various firewalls. Or because obviously firewalls have physical representation within this structure, why the hell not? And you power up some generators and you do all that stuff. The thing is, the only downside of it all is she just takes so fucking long to go anywhere. So you're walking alongside her and it's like, okay, next bit. And she's walking along, slowly delivering her southern drawl dialogue. And it's like, oh, come on, the door's there. Get to the door. Run, woman, run.
Well, I believe
I can run, yeah.
I believe, Mr. Jonathan, we should take our time over this.
Yeah, apparently, in spite of the facts all the way through, like, oh, we need to hurry. The other group's going through because the whole time after each objective or so, she gets on the datacron, which I say like the phone kind of thing. She calls up the other team because, as I mentioned last week, this one is supposed to be done in lore terms at any rate. This mission is done in synchronicity with the group doing the Datascape, which is the main raid within the game, which, as I say, people still have not defeated all the bosses in. I stand corrected on how many bosses there were. I think there's only 9, actually. I said there were 13. I think there's 9. I think people have done 7 out of 9 so far.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as I say, this mission, they say, oh, people need to go into the Datascape and defeats the bad guy in the Datascape at the same time that you're doing this mission. And every so often through the mission, she gets on the phone. It's like, Datascape team, how's it going? What's going on? And then there's another guy, and they're going, oh yeah, we're on this boss. We're making pretty good progress. We've got some good time going on. We've got all these gadgets helping us defeat the boss like this. And it's like, that's cute. I like that. It's a nice touch. Obviously, there isn't an actual raid going on. Well, there probably is a raid going on somewhere in the world, but I don't know. But it's not an actual raid that she's calling in with. It's kind of done. Yeah, it's all fake for story purposes. And as I say, that boss has not yet actually been defeated by any player yet in the game. So even when they're putting up holograms around you saying, "Oh, the final boss fight's going down. Look at the team. Look what they're doing. Look, they're fighting the bad guy, Avatus. He's under attack from the enemies." I was like, nobody in this game has defeated Avatus yet. It's not happening. It's like, oh, you need to flip the switch the moment they kill Avatus, and like, oh, Avatus is down, pull the lever, and then you get a whole bunch of exposition at the end, giving a load of lore type stuff.
What takes the players so long to defeat all these bosses exactly? Why have they not been done yet?
I have no idea. As I say, I speculated. I'm not sure if they might be gated content, but I can't believe Carbine would gate it for so long.
Right.
Even if they'd done it sort of the way Blizzard did, what's it called? I can never remember. Naxxramas. If they'd done it the same way Blizzard did Naxxramas, it was like they did it like, oh, here's 3 bosses this week, and then the next week here's the next 3 bosses, and the next week it's like here's the next 3 bosses. I think it's more just the difficulty of it than anything else. I think they've just made it so ridiculously difficult that people are really having trouble doing it. Is I think just the long and short of it. I mean, if you again to make the comparison, if you go back to really old school WoW, I think a lot of the old school raids, they still did take a long time to get defeated because the challenge was much higher. They were tailoring the content to the best of the best of the best back then. Even with the gating the content, even pre that, if you're thinking about stuff like AQ, Encourage, I think is how you pronounce it. There was 20-man and 40-man AQ raids, and I'm pretty sure those took a long time to be defeated as well within World of Warcraft. Sometimes developers just like, yeah, we're gonna make this brutally hard, and then nobody can do it, like, at all. So yeah, there's that. I mean, I've seen forum threads. I wasn't playing World of Warcraft back then, so this is mostly what I've read on forums and things. I think AQ, there was like, at some point, Blizzard was like, oh, okay, nobody's defeating this. We need to nerf the boss, and there was like a huge nerf went out to that raid, and it became a lot easier. After that, people started to be able to beat it. And I don't know whether this boss is being considered as of yet too difficult to defeat, or if it's just more time and practice needed. I have no idea. As I say, Carbine's thing is they're aiming this title at the hardest of cores of players. They only want the best of the rest of the best to defeat it.
I still don't understand this mentality. It's just like denying players the content that they bought.
Why do you deserve to have that content because you bought it?
Because I paid money for it.
But this is a very sort of modern attitude towards the games, where you have to be served up the entire game on a silver platter. Back in the day, I never saw the last level of Aladdin. I bought Aladdin, but I never saw the last bloody level of Aladdin. I can tell you that much.
Okay, I like a game to be challenging, but not to the point where I can't actually reach the end.
I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, there's a lot of people do like to have that challenge. And nobody's saying you can't get to the end. You just need to get better at the game to get to the end. It's there. It's available to you.
Child.
Yeah. It's not. They're not saying you're not allowed to play this content. It's not like they've locked the content to you. It's just that you have to be better at the game before you can defeat it. It's just like beating Jafar in Aladdin.
Yeah.
Basically. It's probably easier than defeating Jafar in Aladdin. That's my stance on
it. I'm sure it's highly accurate.
You're wrong, sir. Wrong.
Jafar needed a 40-man raid to defeat him, damn it.
Even then, he'd still win.
Yes.
Until someone appealed to his ego.
Yes. Or he opened a zoo.
Yeah, that's a good career change for Jafar.
So yeah, that's my gaming experiences for this week. Nothing terribly exciting or adventurous, I'm afraid. And that one counts Cherry Tree High, which is just anime bullshit. But I do love my anime bullshit from time to time.
Everyone loves their anime bullshit from time to time. It's a staple of one's diet these days.
Yes. I will totally recommend Cherry Tree High and Cherry Tree High. Aye, my girls! I have no idea what's going on with that name, by the way. I can only presume that's lost in translation. That makes no sense. If you go check out the store page, it's Cherry Tree High, I, exclamation mark, my, exclamation mark, girls, exclamation mark. And it's like, what? What is this? At least the first game had a name that made sense. This one is like, why have you named it that? Did your translator take a day off or something, or what?
Maybe the subtitle man had a bad day. Just like,
clearly,
what?
I can only assume that's something that doesn't translate well into English from the Japanese.
Yeah, that's the only logical explanation.
It's a fairly unfortunate bit of the game to manage to do that with, though. The title.
It's not like the cutscenes or anything. No, but we're going to get the title wrong.
Yeah, it could have just been some side scene that wasn't even important to. It's like, oh, well, this doesn't translate very well. Oh, well, do your best. It's like, we don't know how to translate the title. It's like, oh, well,
I
never
think there's
mind.
some exclamation marks in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's a bit weird. It's very weird. I love it.
Yeah. But Mash Podcast, we love weirdness.
Definitely. Anyway, like I said, that's about me for the week. Michael, have you anything to share with the group?
I'm afraid it's been a slow week. I've only played one game of Football Manager this week.
Good lord. Do you win it?
No.
You're letting the team down. That vote of confidence was not well placed.
No, everything's all quiet on the front. I'm not worrying yet.
Still time to turn it around.
Just because I lost 3-0 to Liverpool doesn't mean anything.
I have no idea how good Liverpool are in relation to you anyway, so...
I'm somewhat disappointed. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. So anyone got... Are we out of gaming experiences for the week then?
I think so.
It would appear so, I'm afraid.
That was a short segment, but I think we're trying to wrap things up reasonably quick because people have places to be tonight, so...
Not that we're trying to undercut you or anything, you understand. It's just the pressures of modern life.
Obviously. So, yeah, maybe we should move on to the next section.
Are we doing a commercial?
Yeah, we'll take a brief break like we usually do, and then when we come right back, we shall be doing some gaming news and releases for the week.
But our podcast will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Coming soon to direct-to-video, Jafari Safari, the latest take on Aladdin. Will Aladdin save his furry friend Abu from this deadly safari of Jafar? Coming soon in 2000 and when Kickstarter funds it. Starring Jeremy Irons as Jafar and whoever's available. I don't know. Wagner from X Factor as Aladdin.
Wow.
Money is a coming, and plenty of laughs are to be had. Disney presents, or maybe not Disney, but knockoff Disney.
Dosney.
Disney presents Aladdin for Jafari Safari. Will you survive 10 degrees of terror? But the MASH podcast is back.
Welcome back to the Button Mash Podcast. We have some gaming news and releases for the week for you. Releases later, but...
You cut off my jingle!
I fixed my broken segue into your jingle.
I am not upset.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You may do your jingle.
Composing.
I'll let you have an extra long jingle.
And now, gaming news and gossip.
Excellent. Okay. Welcome to gaming news and gossip, indeed. We have
plenty of gossip this week.
There's a little bit of gossip. There actually is. Should we start with that one? Can we start with that one? I'll start with that one.
Okay. Calm down, Junior. I'll buy you an ice cream. Tell me your gossip.
Double Fine has had to lay people off.
No.
I mean, that's not something to be cheered about, I guess. But at the same time, just the amount of stuff was said in the last few weeks, just going, Double Fine, god damn it, get your act together. And now it's like, oh yeah, we actually haven't got the money to pay the people to do the silly projects that we want to do.
Is this bit in the news or the gossip?
It could be both. It could be gossip.
I wanted you to introduce it like a sassy. Well, I don't know, but I heard Letitia tell.
I'm not going to do that.
I am sorely disappointed.
If you don't want any gossip, we could have some goose.
Ooh, goose.
Goose.
They both sound like really nasty secretions.
What? Oh, I was just thinking of a goose actually, but okay. Okay. Or maybe we should just stick to news and gossip.
I think that would be best.
Anyway,
I thought we had a new sponsor there in Goose, but go on.
Well, I don't know who wants to buy Goose.
Go on, carry on with the story.
Double Fine have laid off a dozen staff members, blaming the loss of a deal from an unannounced project.
Ooh.
Which is kind of interesting when you actually consider that basically means they were actually looking at a publisher. Which doesn't seem like the route they tend to go down these days. Unless their Kickstarter fell through.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise us, would it?
No. So, yeah, they are apparently still working on 3 projects, according to the story. Broken Age, Massive Chalice, and Grim Fandango Remastered. Which are continuing to be their 3 current projects they're working on.
I like the sound of the last one just because of the ridiculous name.
Have you not played Grim Fandango?
I'm afraid not.
I haven't, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, that's actually to be now. Even if I call you out on it, I haven't actually played it, but it's supposed to be very highly acclaimed. It's a very good little game, apparently.
Oh.
It's I think it is a 3D one. It's still in the point and click kind of genre things. Monkey Island-ish in that kind of respect.
Yeah, cool.
So they're doing it up for people who missed it first time around. So I suspect me and Will probably get in on that then, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
I've also got Massive Chalice. I forget what that one is. Is that a strategy thing they've got going on? I can't remember what that.
Never heard of it.
That's another one they did do on Kickstarter, and I can't remember what it is. I've seen it on the front page of Steam a few times recently. I think they've started selling it again in early access because that's how they do. They've kind of gone through Kickstarter and now early accessed it because they want as many people as possible to buy it before they release it, obviously.
Makes sense.
I can't for the life of me remember what the heck it actually is, though. I'm going to have to try and... Massive Chalice, currently £23 on Steam for an unfinished game.
Oh.
It is a tactical strategy game set on an epic timeline. As the immortal ruler of the nation, you take command of heroes, forge heroic marriages to strengthen your bloodlines, and battle a mysterious enemy in a 300-year war. But it's Double Fine, so maybe you should hold off until they finished making it. Just saying. I hate to paint them as another Ubisoft, but, well, you saw what happened to the guys who bought into Space Base DF9 before it was finished as well.
Yeah.
So this is more early access nonsense from Double Fine that maybe you should be a little bit wary of. It does have very positive user reviews on Steam, though. Well, to be honest, I suspect so did Space Base before that one got canned, if we're honest. So, yeah, just... it's at least a slightly... It seems like slightly good news that they're at least looking at not trying to pump people for money before they've made the games now. At least they've gone back down the traditional route of actually paying for the game before asking people to buy it. But at the same time, that's kind of sad that 12 people working for a great studio have been laid off. So best of luck to them finding work elsewhere within the industry.
Yeah, it's never nice to see someone lose their job.
No. I do note the bottom of the Polygon article I've got is like, Double Fine best known for the likes of Costume Quest and The Cave. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Are they not best known for Psychonauts?
Not their best titles, surely.
No, it's like they're kind of more niche things that they've done. They're better known for stuff like Psychonauts, surely. If you're going to pick a big title to say, hey, do you know Double Fine? No? Who are they? Psychonauts? Yeah.
Brutal Legend?
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that one as well.
I like Brutal Legend.
I think Psychonauts is the big one most people kind of would be familiar with, though. I guess Brutal Legend was fairly high profile because it was... Actually, no, Psychonauts was on console as well. So, I don't know. Either or.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah, it did have Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne was kind of weird in that game, but yeah, it did have him.
Oh, Ozzy Osbourne, that beacon of normality.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. I guess none of those news stories we've got is especially large this week, so I have a very, very short podcast this week, potentially. I don't know.
We're trying.
According to a leak from PayPal, of all people, the next Steam sale is going to begin on Wednesday.
Ah.
So buckle your wallets, because you're about to start hemorrhaging money.
Yep. You're about to buy some games you're never going to play.
This is, I guess the PayPal thing is they're trying to encourage people to buy Steam credit through PayPal ahead of the Steam sale. They're like, hey, there's a lot of cheap things coming up next week. Would you like to buy the money now?
You need to pay for it somehow.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you've got the money, I don't know, how does that even work? If you've got PayPal, surely you must have a card that you could use on Steam.
PayPal don't want you to think about that.
It's making no sense. So yeah, that's coming up ahead of Black Friday. Obviously, Thursday is over in the old US of A. There is Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate such nonsense over here.
Well, we never took out the Indians, did we? So.
We're not thankful for anything around here, no. We don't want any of your thanks.
We never wiped out a culture.
Yes, I'm sure that's what that's about. It's about celebrating genocide.
The views of the Buttermask co-host are solely to him. I'm joking, America. You should be proud.
So then, obviously, yeah, Thanksgiving's Thanksgiving, but obviously the real holiday here is Black Friday immediately after it.
Yeah,
Cheap
Well,
shit.
cheap stuff.
One of the world's biggest shopping events. A gratuitous display of commercialism. So let's go buy things!
Yay!
I'm doing a dig.
And obviously Steam is getting in on that like everybody else, so Wednesday through to the following Monday, which is Cyber Monday, which is extension of Black Friday, Steam will be doing a lot of things on the cheap. If you're wanting things on the cheap, that's probably a good place to pick up things on the cheap.
Yep, so could be a bargain or two in there for some people.
I will note, this thing seems to be spreading, it gets worse every year. I mean, obviously, like I say, the event is Black Friday. Last year, a lot of shops got a lot of criticism because they started it on Thanksgiving. So everyone's like, oh, I've got to work on Thanksgiving because whatever store decided, hey, we're going to open our store at like 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving evening so that people can start shopping before the event. Because that's what people want to do on their national holiday that's supposed to be spent enjoying a meal with family. They want to go out and buy cheap tat.
Well, I think eventually that'll happen on Christmas, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I say it just kind of gets worse every year. I mean, this year, obviously, we've now got Steam starting it on Wednesday, so now that's before Thanksgiving. And I've recently kind of been browsing for new PC upgrade parts, and is it Newegg? I think they're doing Black November. Holy shit!
Not that you're shocked by this or anything.
So yeah, I guess they were just extending the entire thing. It's just a race to the bottom now. It's like who can have Black Year? At that point, you might as well just be DFS.
Black. What about soon they'll take over Black History Month.
Oh dear.
I have a dream that I can buy a DVD player for under £10.
I'm pretty sure that's... How much are DVD players these days? I've not really shopped for them lately, but I'm quite sure they can't be that much.
I think I might be right on the pricing scale.
Martin Luther King was right.
His dream has come true.
His dream came true. Oh dear.
I think I've crossed over into very bad.
That's getting into territory we probably should step back out of.
I apologise to everybody.
So yeah, what are you guys looking for? What are you going to buy? Will's not going to buy anything because he doesn't play games anymore.
Huge TV. Massive TV.
Oh right, I was thinking on the Steam sale, but go on, okay.
No, I'm
I think he's just talking in general.
You're going to buy a huge TV to never play any games on.
Yeah. Clearly.
He's never going to watch any TV on it. He's just going to buy the TV and just look at it.
I'm just going to bask in the glow.
Okay, fair enough. That's what they're for. Glow basking.
I'm not sure what I'll buy. Probably just have a wumble along line, see if I can see something that catches the fancy.
I keep putting things on my Steam wishlist, so I suppose I'll probably go and try and clean that up a bit. If things come down cheap, I'll be like, well, okay, I'll probably have a crack at that. Windborne I've had on my Steam wishlist for a very long time. If that goes cheap, I might have a look at it. It's 20 quid, and it's like, it's early access, and I'm not quite sure. For 20 quid, I'd kind of want to stay away. If it came down cheaper, I'd have a look.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of the stuff I've got on my list of me is just not due out for a long time yet. It's like, can I have it cheap before it's out? One I keep remembering. I've recently added it onto my Steam wishlist just so that I can keep remembering it, because it's one of those ones that every few months I'll be like, oh yeah, that was the thing. I wonder how that's doing. I've looked it up and it's like, oh, it's not out yet. A few months later I'll be like, oh yeah, that was supposed to be really good. Is it out yet? It's Karma Flow, the rock opera video game, and it's out in January, I believe. and I've added it to my Steam wishlist, just so I can remember that it will be out now. Because up to this point, I had completely forgotten that it would be.
Now you will remember.
I will. So they've got loads of really good artists to actually do the music in it, or at least the vocals. They got artists from Epica, Cradle of Filth, Dragon Force, Sonata Arctica, Arch Enemy, and the world's biggest Grammy Award-winning professional pop and jazz orchestra.
That's a pretty good soundtrack.
Well, I'm a big fan of both Dragon Force and Sonata Arctica, so yeah, I'm in. I'm sold on those names alone. So yeah. I can't buy it yet, though. I want it, and I want it cheap. Can I have it cheap?
No.
I'd actually tell you what. I mean, maybe I shouldn't violate my principles, but Assassin's Creed 4.
Whoa.
It's got pirate ships, though. I don't know. I shouldn't cave and buy pirate ships, but it's pirate ships. Who could possibly resist?
Not a pirate.
So yeah, that's that. The big news of the week, relatively big, is Valve have added new rules to Steam Early Access to ensure their games don't suck.
Is that the wording they used?
That is literally the wording used. Word for word. So, yeah. Basically, it's now... The new guidelines are, don't launch in Early Access if you can't afford to develop without sales, which is kind of... If you start looking at things like, I don't know, Space-Based DF9... They're like, we can't afford to keep up making this anymore. Sorry, guys, we're going to can it. It's like, that's not how Early Access works. If you ain't got the money to make it now, don't rely on people buying your game to be able to make it. So there is no guarantee that your game will sell as many units as you anticipate. If you're counting on selling a specific number of units to survive and complete your game, then you need to think carefully about what it would mean for you or your team if you don't sell that many units. Are you willing to continue developing the game without any sales? Are you willing to seek other forms of investment? Which is entirely reasonable, I feel, especially in light of things like Space Base. I think they're probably not the only one, but they're kind of the biggest, most public, prominent one that you can point to and go, yeah, they ran out of money and just canned it after people bought it. Make sure you set expectations properly everywhere you talk about your game. For example, if you know your updates during Early Access will break save files or make the customer start over with building something, make sure you say that up front. And say this everywhere that you sell your Steam keys.
That sounds fair.
I'm pretty sure they are referring very explicitly to Starbound with that one, because admittedly they haven't done that for a very long time, but for the first month or so of that game on Early Access, there's several updates to that game. It broke everyone's save files every time, because I read that was actually really popular on YouTube at the time and Twitch, and people were really trying to get into Starbound. There were loads of people like, yeah, let's do a Starbound series. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be the new Terraria. It's Terraria in space basically, and it's really cool. It's got all sorts of procedurally generated aliens and awesome things, and it's really interesting. And then everybody started the game and got 2 episodes into a Let's Play series, and then they put a patch out. So it's like, okay, it's Early Access. Here's the next patch for the game. Everybody's game save broke. So, yeah. So, Starbound, I think, is who they're talking about there. Yeah. Admittedly, Starbound, I think, is still doing quite well. We've talked about it a couple times on this podcast, and I think, as far as development goes, that game's still going along pretty nicely. They haven't put out any game-breaking patches in a very, very long time, to be quite honest.
Which is good for them.
Which is very good for them. But I keep... I know people within the Let's Play scene that people keep saying, oh yeah, shame about Starbound, it had so much potential and it's just died, and it's like, I don't think it has just died. It's got it's got more of a sort of a cult following, as it were, a bit of a niche player base, but I think it's far from dead. I think if you were to actually do a bit of digging and get involved in the community, you'd find there's quite a lot of people still quite interested in that game. It's not dead by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, I think that is pretty much I think it was Starbound is the culprit of that particular bullet point. Don't launch in Early Access without a playable game, it says. If you have a tech demo but not much gameplay yet, then it's probably too early to launch in Early Access. If you're trying to test out a concept and haven't yet figured out what players are going to do in your game, that makes it fun, then it's probably too early. You might want to start by giving out keys to select fans and getting input from smaller and more focused group of users before you post your title to early access. At a bare minimum, you'll need a video that shows in-game gameplay of what it looks like to play. Even if you're asking customers for feedback on changing the gameplay, customers need something to start with in order to give informed feedback and suggestions. That's very reasonable. If you're buying a game, you want an actual game to play, you need something there. But
okay, yep, I agree with all this.
I'm not entirely certain who exactly they're pointing fingers at with that one. I've seen a lot of early access titles that I've just kind of gone, I'm not sure what the point of this is. There isn't much there. I admit Windborne is probably actually one of them that's like that. It's kind of like, this looks like it's a very pretty game. It looks like what you're saying, your vision for the game, it sounds like it's got an interesting concept, but I don't think there's much to it yet. So,
yeah,
I think there's a few titles kind of perhaps somewhat guilty of that. It's a playable game, but how much content in it is somewhat debatable. Don't launch in early access if you are done with development. If you have all your gameplay defined already and are just looking for final bug testing, then early access isn't the right place for that. You'll probably just want to send out some keys to fans or do some more internal playtesting. Early access is intended as a place where customers can have impact on the game. I don't know many that have done that, to be honest. Most of them, I can't think of many games that have just said, oh yeah, we're almost done, this is just fix bugs. I don't know how many people have used early access for that. I don't know who they're pointing fingers at with that one. Also, again, I hadn't entirely realised that was necessarily the thing. I think probably a few people hadn't. It seems like I would have said that was a fairly reasonable use for early access, but I guess I was wrong. So that just goes to show. So I mean, I don't know who's actually done that. Most people who are in early access are for the above reasons, which it seems like there's a lot of people who are in it because they want the money to fund their game, so they're using early access as a way of getting the money to fund the game.
Yeah. It all makes sense to me. It sounds like a solid change for the better.
Well, assuming it's enforced in any sort of way, because, again, you recall a few weeks back we talked about Kickstarter changing its rules, where Kickstarter were like, oh, if you're promising something, you have to deliver it now. You can't just take the money and run. And it's like, well, how is this enforced? Well, the customers can sue you. I was like, okay, you're not really going to enforce it though, are you? It's like, this is mostly lip service. And this is a sort of Valve, again, it feels like Valve's taking the same stance. It's like, we're going to put out this thing here that says this is what you're supposed to do, but I'd be interested to see if they actually vetted games that are in early access and said, oh, this guy's breaching the terms of this, they're not doing this very well, we're going to pull their game from Steam, or we're going to send them a stern email to say, buck your game up, or whatever.
Yeah, I think there might need to be a bit of clarification on what happens if you don't follow the rule.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, they're very good guidelines, but how said guidelines are actually going to, make an impact, very hard to say at this point.
Oh, this is going to be a wait and see, I'm afraid.
Yeah, hopefully for the better, but
we can hope.
We do not know at this stage. Anyway, those are the major news things for the week. Not quite so much this week.
Yep, sorry about that, guys.
Oh well. It can't always be interesting every week. Sometimes stuff doesn't happen.
Damn, Smith, no one will notice.
There's one I picked up on while we're going through it. Did we talk about this one? Maybe you can clarify for me, because I can't remember now. You know the guy who threatened to kill Gabe Newell?
Yes.
Yeah, you remember him.
Yes, I remember discussing this.
Did I mention last week that he'd rejoined his team?
No, this has slipped by the wayside.
All right, that one slipped by, so let's mention that one briefly. Mike Mulbeck, aka the man who threatened to kill Gabe Newell, is now back with his team. So in case you were like, oh, I'm never going to buy any products from them again, and I was like, oh, actually, now that he's left the team, I probably will buy their products again. Well, he's now back working for them, so maybe don't buy their products again. I don't know. It depends on how your principles particularly stand.
Yeah, weird situation.
So it's one of those things where it seemed like that maybe that was more just sort of doing lip service and trying to do damage control. It's like, oh, sorry, we're sorry for threatening to kill Gabe Newell. I'll do the decent thing and I'll step down, and then when everybody stopped watching me, I'll come back. It was like, nobody stopped watching you, mate. Everybody thought it was hilarious that you tried to kill Gabe, or threatened to kill Gabe Newell. You didn't actually try, but
if he'd have tried to kill Gabe Newell, that would have been very interesting.
That would have been orders of magnitude worse, yes. But yeah, the news sites and many people picked up on the fact that no, Mike Morbeck is back working for. I can't remember what the name of his company was now, to be honest. So
well, it's the company's choice, I'm afraid.
It's the company's choice, yes, and. Perhaps I don't feel like it's going to do much good for them, to be honest.
Well, for a start, they won't be able to get back on Steam, will they?
Well, I don't think there's another sort of viewpoint on it is kind of that perhaps him stepping down was supposed to be again kind of a token gesture, so maybe not a token gesture, but sort of can we get back on Steam if this guy leaves the team? And the guy left the team, and then Steam turned around and said, still no. So they're like, shit, this doesn't actually make any fucking difference to anything whatsoever. It's him stepping down, so we might as well have him back. It's kind of one of those things where like, okay, well, fine. Code avarice, that's what they were called. So, in case you had made any kind of decisions to boycott or otherwise gain some code avarice over this decision, make your decisions accordingly and informedly.
I'm not sure I could care less.
Well, no, but I'm sure some people probably do.
Someone is been watching this whole saga, face right to the computer screen going, he's back!
This is the internet. Somebody always cares.
Yep.
The internet cares what kind of shirt you wear when you land a spaceship on a comet.
And we'll send you an abusive tweet.
And then they will bring you to tears over it, yes.
In fact, that was an ugly shirt.
It was a gift from a friend of his who was being nice. He had a friend who made tacky shirts. That was her shtick, and she made him a tacky shirt to wear because she thought that would be fun, and he wore it because his friend made it for him. And then the internet decided that was worth bringing him to tears over. Good job, internet. Well done. Go home and think about what you did.
Moral of the story is never do anything for your friends.
Clearly, yes. Anyway,
never land any spacecraft on anything, no matter how cool that shit is.
Well, you can do that, but you're only allowed to do it as long as you're wearing a drab grey suit with no colour whatsoever.
I don't think I like the internet anymore.
I don't think I do either.
Boo.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
You're gonna live on a house in the moon with 15 pianos.
I don't know about you, but I'm moving to Mars.
Good call.
How's that Mars 1 mission doing? They're still looking for sign-ups, aren't they? I think at the last estimate, scientists said that their people, if they managed to land anyone on Mars, would have a life expectancy of 67 days, so that can only go up from there.
Things can only get better. Hey, what? 67 days?
Yeah, 67 days in a very small room on Mars. It's every man's dream. Anyway, yes, that's news for the week. We're getting a little bit off topic there. So let us do some new gaming releases for the week, perhaps?
And now, new game releases. Lisa
needs braces.
No, she doesn't.
Where are we at? What date are we on? We are on November 23rd. I'm a week behind on this. I'm looking at the wrong page.
Looking for they start on the 25th, and it begins with, I don't know what this is.
I'm not rightly sure I do either, to be honest, but this is Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth for 3DS. It's presumably some part of the Persona franchise. It is a dungeon crawler RPG with the chibi versions of characters from Persona 3 and 4 for the Nintendo 3DS.
Okie dokie.
I can't say I've ever played any of the Persona stuff. It's does seem to keep popping up with all sorts of spin-off stuff lately, so I don't know if this is more Persona-y spin-off stuff. Also, I have no idea what Persona fan base is like. If they're anything like what I expect from the anime look of this game, I suspect they've probably already bought the game. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just... I don't know. Maybe I'm cynical about anime fan bases. After all, I did go out and rush and buy Cherry Tree High Comedy Club on day 1. I don't know. That's Persona. Persona fans would probably want to take a look. Anybody who isn't might not be terribly interested, I suspect. I don't know.
Yeah, there's not much more we can say on that.
Thomas Was Alone for Wii U and PS4. Which one's out? Is it... That's already been out for a while on quite a few things. I figured it was probably already out on those. Is it not? I guess it must be new releases. This is a very, very minimalist indie puzzle platformer with all the voice acting done by Danny Wallace, which is the
he's great.
He is great. I do like Danny Wallace.
Yeah.
The game is supposed to be reasonably good for its simplicity. I genuinely think it's perhaps sold off the back of Danny Wallace, to be honest, because, as you say, he is great. I do like Danny Wallace's stuff. And
yeah.
If I think I do have it. I don't know. I've played it, but it's one of those ones that's like I'm only interested in it because of Danny Wallace, and I suspect a lot of people was. So this was Mike Bithell is the one-man studio that made it, and it was like his first game ever made in Unity. And honestly, I can't say I particularly care for the man. Any interview you ever read with the man since then, it's like the fame of doing Thomas Was Alone seems to have gone to his head a little bit. He's quite obnoxious these days, I must say. For me personally, anyway. And I genuinely feel like it's an indie puzzle platformer thing. There's a bajillion one out of them. The only thing that really differentiates this one over the others is that it's got Danny Wallace doing the narration. And I think that's possibly what sold it more than any gaming talent, yet he genuinely thinks he's God's gift to video game development at this stage. And it's like, yeah, no, you somehow snagged a really cool voice actor. That's just me, anyway. But if you're holding out on playing it on other platforms are available now. We have Geometry Wars 3 Dimensions.
Wow, all about that Dimensions.
Well, it's obviously a play on 3 dimensions. It's the third game in the series. It's Geometry Wars 3, and it's done in 3 dimensions. Get it? Hey.
I'm chortling to myself.
I hope so. I really hope you are.
Oh.
I am quite looking forward to this, to be honest. I like the Geometry Wars games. I'm a fan of Geometry Wars, but I am a fan of twin-stick shooters, generally speaking, anyway. Indeed, Geometry Wars 1, I think, was the game that got me into twin-stick shooters, so kind of intrigued as to what they're doing with this. If you look at the screenshots, you'll see kind of what they do appear to be doing with this is, well, 3 dimensions, where previously the shooting was done on a 2D plane, and you would fly your spaceship around the 2D plane and shoot in 360 degrees around your spaceship. Now you're going around cubes and spheres and what can only be described as a peanut in space and shooting things around that, which could be kind of interesting. To be fair, I've not seen that done with the genre before. That kind of it's still got the 2D shoot 'em up thing, but it's done in a 3D arena, which is kind of cool.
That's an interesting concept.
This is not made by the original studio, because the original studio was Bizarre Creations, I think it was, and they closed down a little while back. That was fairly prominent. The kind of everyone was like, "Oh no, not Bizarre. They were quite good, but clearly not good enough." Anyway, a number of the people who were working at Bizarre now have reformed. Lucid Games is the new team, and Lucid Games has now presumably still got the rights to Geometry Wars, so now they've made Geometry Wars 3.
Yay.
And I will definitely like to take a look at that at some point this week. Absolutely. Oh dear, the next one. Have we talked about this one before?
At least, it's a fairly old game because it was released on last November.
I only know about this one because I seem to recall Dodger and Jesse Cox going on and on about it at some point. It's the sequel to the PSP game about, and it's Japanese. I should probably get that one out there. It's about vampires. Vampires usually taking the form of very, very attractive young men and women, I will state, and the way you kill them is by exposing them to sunlight, and the way you expose them to sunlight is by tearing their clothes off them.
Because that's where people were going wrong in the Dracula things.
Yes, clearly.
He won't die. Take off his pants.
So yes, you get to wander around Tokyo and find very attractive ladies and tear their clothes off them in order to expose them to sunlight in order to defeat them in combat, because they are vampires. Thank you, Japan!
Making the rest of us look bad.
As I say, it's equal opportunities sexual harassment. You do get to tear the clothes off men as well. Although I will note, screenshots do seem to generally focus on the ladies. There seems to be more focus on women with clothes missing than there are men.
I think it might know its target audiences.
Yes, maybe catering to those misogynists that we all are. Clearly,
we're terrible human beings.
So that's Japan. Congratulations, Japan.
You've ruined it for everybody.
Ruining gaming for the rest of us. Aqua Kitty Milk Mine Defender.
Ooh.
DX. I don't know what the DX stands for, but there you go. This is a game that's already been out for a while at launch. I seem to recall this name doing the rounds. It was one of the first PlayStation mobile titles in October 2012, actually. And now it's out on, what's it out? PS Vita and PS4. It's a protect kitten miners and their undersea milk drilling operation in this Defender-like shooter.
That sounds brilliant.
Well, there you go. You can have that on PS4. To be honest, it looks adorable as well. I'm quite tempted to pick it up just because it's so adorable. I look at the screenshots. There's a cat fishing off the side of a ship.
Oh.
It's really, really cute. Probably one of the cutest shooters around, I suspect. We have, following up to kickboxing last week, we now have Boxing, the PS1 classic.
I don't remember a lot of these games being classics.
Well, I think it means as in original console. I don't think it means it is a classic. I don't think they're saying, it's up there with 1984, so one of the classics. It's just classic as in old, not classic as in good. Boxing is a simulation of the combat sport of the same name for PlayStation. And those box art covers.
Self-evident.
It was, yeah. I feel it could have been inferred, just a little bit. PlayStation Vita, we have Pocket RPG. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's a mobile port to Vita. It looks very, very mobile-y. And there's almost no information on it, so we can't tell you about it. We have Speakeasy for the PS4. This is a fast-paced 1920s themed fighting game with 10-second rounds and a 3-button control scheme.
Yeah.
And I do wish they had slightly more information, because the only image they've got is the logo, which actually doesn't even show you anything of the game. It's just the logo. There's not much more I can tell you about it, but I will say just in that one-line tagline, it sounds vaguely interesting. Wouldn't mind taking a look and seeing what the heck that is. We have a Mighty Final Fight for the Wii U, which I'm pretty sure is a 1993 game. The 8-bit adaptation of Final Fight featuring super deformed style characters. Great.
Okay.
And this is oh my god, this is a 1993 remake of the 1989 game.
Wow.
Which has been re-released in 2004 for the Wii U. Excellent. Last but by no means least, something I have got my eye on actually, because this looks really kind of cool. It's a pirate game!
Pirates!
It's Raven's Cry, which is an action-adventure RPG thing about a pirate who tries to avenge the death of its family. And it looks really pretty, and it's about pirates, and I'm totally sold. Because it's pirates. Apparently they're going for a little bit more of the gritty realism of pirates rather than the yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum kind of thing, but then when you look at the screenshots, it's like, that's still really stereotypical. So I don't know how gritty realism they've gone, to be honest. It still looks... The guy's still got a hook for a hand and he's wearing a tricorn hat. He still looks like a pretty stereotypical pirate to me, but I don't care. I want to check this out.
Yeah.
My main concern is that it may not be the Ravens that cry so much as my graphics card, to be honest. It looks like I probably can't handle the bloody game, which is half the reason I'm looking for shopping for new things, because this is becoming a recurring thing for me lately. I'm getting a lot of stuff that I just can't run, and I'd be quite compelled to suggest that this probably falls amongst them. Which is a shame, because I really, 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 really want to check it out.
I don't have you in mind, John.
However, hey, it's a really cool-looking pirate title that's not from some giant, evil, monstrous AAA developer, so hey, I'm on board. What can I say? It's not indie, particularly, but hey, it's not Ubisoft. So yeah, definitely interested in that. That's all we've got on the multi-format stuff. Let's head on over to Steam, shall we?
Now, Steam.
You managed to do that without creating quite so much hiss on the mic this time. Congratulations.
I toned it down for you.
Good, good.
I'm trying, damn it.
Notable on Steam, we have really good start to things. If My Heart Had Wings.
I imagine that scenario every day.
It's a Japanese visual novel thing, and honestly, I checked this out because it's one of those ones. Is like, as I saw the anime thing, I was like, "Ooh, click! What's this? Let's have a look," because I'm a massive weeaboo like that. And then check the community hub just to see discussions and things, see if anybody played. Because it seems like one of those things that's probably already existed for a long time. They're just bringing it out on Steam. So I thought there'd be people who have discussed it and said, "Hey, this game's good. This game's bad. This is why you should check it out. This is what's interesting. This is what's not so interesting." There's a massive, massive ranting thread there, absolutely slating this game because it's so heavily censored. It's really badly censored. How could they put out a game on Steam with such censorship? This is terrible. This should not be allowed to see light of day. They removed the porn scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Steam doesn't sell porn. I think that's kind of one of the things they do. I'm pretty sure that's one of the things you have to do to get on Steam is remove the porn scenes.
Yeah. Generally accepted.
I mean, it's just weird, the religious devotion to insisting on having to doof teenage girls within the visual novel scene, as it were. So those people are really, really scarily passionate about wanting to have sex with teenage girls.
Yeah, Japan, I think.
Japan for you, indeed. That's the thing. No, the people who are ranting about it, I don't think are Japanese. The Japanese are just consuming that culture over there, and they're fine because that's just their culture. And these are like American kids and whatever, and even adults probably, who are like getting really, really, really angry on the internet about how the fact that this particular version of their Eroge title has had the Eroge removed. I probably pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, Eroge enthusiasts. I mean, I subscribed to the visual novel subreddit on Reddit because a while back I was looking for more really stupid titles to play because I liked Cherry Tree High Comedy Club and I liked that kind of game. And I was like, maybe I can find some really silly titles that I can do the voice acting for and it'll be a lot of fun and it'll be really cool. And I asked around on some various game recommendation forums and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, there's this visual novel thing over here on Reddit. If you go over there, there'll be some good recommendations." It's like it's not. It's like 90% people talking about how great the sex scenes are. It's like, I came here because I thought I might get a few interesting recommendations, and now it's like, why am I here? This is really weird. I'm not one of you. I just wanted to play... I mean, to their credit, I found a game called Prince of Nigeria, which is a fantastically stupid title about a girl who falls in love with a Nigerian prince through the format of email. Which is every bit as good as it sounds. That's a great title. But 90% of your visual novel style titles are not some really quirky, humorous concept. A lot of them are just about having sex with teenage girls. And it's like, clearly you're very enthused about the format, but I'm concerned about which bit of the format you're most enthused about. You don't seem to be so much enthused about the fact that this is a compelling medium through which one can tell a interesting and emotional story. You seem to be more concerned about the sex scenes than anything else, to the exclusion of everything else. I mean, in fact, this rant on this thread on Steam, one of the things was like, oh yes, it's not a very good translation. A lot of it's very broken English, and it's like I could let that slide if they hadn't removed the sex scenes. It's like, wow. This has been translated from Japan, and your first primary concern is not how good is the translation, which, for me would have been like, that's kind of top, surely? It's like, no. It's like, can I have sex with the teenage girls?
Okay. I think it might be best to move on.
So that is a heavily censored version of a sexual dating sim from Japan, if you're into that kind of thing. What else have we got? Lunar Shattered Hearts Episode 1.
This is like the first saga.
Indeed, this is. I think I seem to call this. I think this might be funded on Kickstarter or something. It's a very, very indie-looking thing. It's a side-scrolling RPG platformery thing. I don't necessarily totally care for the style. It's got a very stylized look to it. Can't say I particularly care for it, especially myself. I don't think it necessarily looks bad. I just don't think it's my thing. Kind of looks like it might have kind of a bit of a Castlevania kind of thing going on, maybe? I'm not rightly sure. Just looking at it kind of reminds me a lot of the 2D Castlevania stuff. There's a lot of exploring big open spaces, a lot of vertical stuff. The character looks... I'm not sure whether he's elven or vampire or both. Kind of got a bit of both going on. Which I suspect is where certain elements of the Castlevania come in. And seems to have a very scantily clad woman in tow with him, just to cater to the misogynist audience.
Yeah. Well being represented. I like it.
We have Reverse Side, which I'm pretty sure we looked at a while back. Was this one? I guess it must have been delayed or something. This is about a ship that is crashed on the other side of the moon, and you need to go and explore and find things out. I'm pretty sure we mentioned this a few weeks back, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
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 So I guess that got delayed. Yeah. Obviously, we've got Geometry Wars on Steam. We've got Tales from the Borderlands. This could be kind of interesting. I can't say I particularly cared for Borderlands for some time, but this is actually Telltale Games' take on it. Who are obviously the people who made the Walking Dead game and games, whatever, the episodic series thing that they've done, as well as The Wolf Among Us. They're doing new and exciting things in the point and click game genre, and they are taking those things and doing it to Borderlands effectively.
That could be interesting.
It could actually,
because when I played Borderlands 2, it just seemed like more of the same. And I wasn't entirely pleased with that.
That's what I heard about it, and honestly, the pre-sequel, I've also heard that is more of the same as well. It's like, well, I played one of them, I don't need to play another two of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. However, yeah, Telltale's take on it, I could get into that. I could take a look. That could be kind of interesting. They're also the guys that doesn't take the same format. They did the Back to the Future game, which was actually pretty cool. Yeah. I quite enjoyed that. Interesting that their trailer actually has the full Borderlands timeline on it, just so you can figure out how the order of the games is supposed to take place. There's Borderlands pre-sequel, Borderlands 2, and then Tales from the Borderlands. So this takes place after Borderlands 2. Just in case you were keeping up to date with Borderlands lore. Not that I have, particularly having not played two of the games.
Well, now we're all up to date.
We have Space Salvager, which looks really kind of crude, actually. I'm not sure what to make of this. The concept looks kind of interesting, but it looks like its kind of graphics have been done on a budget. I'm not quite sure how to quite interpret this. Honestly, I think it looks quite a lot like it's got elements of space pirates and zombies in it. That kind of 2D top-down, flying a spaceship around, collecting resources, fighting bad guys kind of thing. Interesting to note, there is actually a Space Pirates and Zombies 2 on the way as well. That's one of the things I've added to my wishlist in recent times on Steam, just to keep an eye on it. So, I don't know, this might be something to fill the gap in Space Pirates and Zombies between games if you're craving it, perhaps. I don't know. Space Pirates and Zombies 1 was actually a really good game. I really enjoyed that. So it's like, I'd be intrigued to check this out, but like I say, with the sort of maybe slightly crude looking graphics, I feel like I might just be kind of a bit let down by it.
I think I'd take a pass.
What else do we have? We have Haunted House, Cryptic Graves, which is horror stuffs. Which is inspired by the classic Atari hit of the same name. The new Haunted House, Cryptic Graves is a terrifying first-person adventure horror game filled with cryptic puzzles, supernatural entities, and paranormal activity. I have added this to the list. I will note that actually, in retrospect, this one actually doesn't have a release date on it. It's one of those ones that they've managed to sort of shoehorn in between the 25th and 26th of November on the release list, but whether that actually means it's going to come out on either of those dates, maybe not so much. I don't know. I might be giving it some press ahead of its time.
We'll forgive you.
So yeah, that was horror stuff. I'll probably give it a miss, to be honest, because that's not my scene. Now, Will, you mentioned Warhammer earlier. I can't remember if that was like while we were talking on camera or not, but at any rate.
No, I don't think it was.
Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon.
It's more tower defense, I think.
Is it actually?
I think it's tower defense.
It's a hex-based turn-based strategy, so my immediate thought was that it was more Civ than anything, but I don't know. I could probably be totally off on that.
Maybe. I've kind of passed this one up because it doesn't look anywhere near as good as Space Hulk or Mordheim, which is in early access at the moment. And obviously, with Deathwing coming out next year, I think I can, let this one slide. It doesn't look all that great.
All right. You heard it here first, folks.
Enthusiastic sell.
Yeah.
We're not here to sell games, we're here to talk about them. We have Congo... hang on. I've put this on my list, haven't I? How did I put this on the list? Congo was not on my list. That's an early access title, so let's do it.
This is the first time hearing of Congo.
No, Congo's early access, so we're going to give that a skip. That can be talked about when they bother to launch it. We have Joe Diva's Lone Wolf HD Remastered. Well, there's a mouthful for you.
I like it when games roll off the tongue.
Now, Lone Wolf. Do you guys know Lone Wolf?
I do not.
The name vaguely rang a bell for me, and I know where I've seen it. I don't think I have any experience with it, but I know where I've seen it. It was originally one of the old adventure game book kind of things. The choose your own adventure story type things.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
I don't think it's allowed. It probably wasn't allowed to be called Choose Your Own Adventure because that's like Steve Jackson's trademark. So only those books are allowed to be called Choose Your Own Adventure. Because, as I mentioned before, I've got a Choose Your Own Adventure version of Hamlet in book form, which is fucking awesome, quite frankly. But they refer to it as a choosable path story, I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
Because that Choose Your Own Adventure is literally a trademark that you cannot use for these things. So this is a game book, I guess it is. And I guess they've turned it into a game and done it in HD and also remastered it at the same time.
Yeah.
I have to say I could buy into this.
I'll say it does look kind of purdy, but at the same time, I don't know how much adventure game book is in it. It looks like it could be like a third-person action adventure-y kind of thing. But at the same time, it's based on a game book, so I don't know if it's one of those things where it's just going to be a lot of stuff just kind of taking the interface of a game book and putting it on screen, because obviously there's a lot of game books have been done recently, that format, and it's just like, well, the game book was kind of entirely dependent on the rolls of the dice and stuff. It's like, okay, roll for strength. Is your strength above this score? Well, you hit the enemy and you slay him. If not, you get trapped in a cage and now have to use half your health to escape, and a lot of bullshit maneuvers like that.
Oh dear.
And the only way to beat it was, of
jamming
course,
your fingers in the lock to use your health to escape.
probably. This was an adventure game book. Come on, that's how that shit works. I don't know. I'm just making shit up, but it was a lot of the stuff in those books was complete fucking bullshit, because it was like live or death on the roll of a dice. Why don't you roll that dice? I was like, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck your dice. It's fucking bullshit. Whether I have to start reading the story from the beginning should not depend on the roll of a dice.
Oh dear.
And yeah, my objection to doing the game format is that you can't cheat.
Yeah.
In those games, it's like, oh, the game says because I didn't roll higher than a 3 on the dice, I die and have to start the story again. Well, fuck you, I rolled a 4. Turn to page 278.
You can't do that in the game.
No, that's the thing, you cannot do that in the game. I can't. There's a lot of sort of... A lot of screenshots in this seem to be pages of books, so I can't help but wonder if there are those elements, but at the same time, then there's a lot of sort of very pretty looking screenshots with health meters and mana meters and some other meter that I don't even know what it is, and stabbing dudes with swords, so... I have no idea what elements come into this. Could be kind of interesting, but... I don't know. I do not know. It's probably one of the prettiest adventure game book kind of things around. Like I say, a lot of them just tend to be 2D illustrations with just a UI to simulate your dice rolls and stats and items and things. Nothing more than you basically what you do with a pad of paper and a pen back in the day.
Yeah.
It just saves you the money on the paper.
That's the way to look at it.
That is it. So that might be it. We have Raven's Cry, obviously. Gonna keep an eye out for that, although, 36 quid, I ain't got that kind of money at the minute.
And you won't be able to play it anyway.
There's a very, very reasonable chance I will either have to play it on potato quality or it'll run at 2 frames per second, yes.
Yep.
We have Emergency 5 Deluxe Edition. Which
Okay.
I think is Michael's Game of the Year.
Oh, I can't wait.
This is...
What makes it deluxe?
I don't know. Maybe we can find out. Deluxe Edition includes the entire city of Cologne as an entire map and a historic rescue unit as a digital bonus. That's what makes it deluxe.
I'm overcome.
This just seems to be, well, it's running emergency services, I guess. It's a simulator thing. It perhaps seems to be a little bit more action-packed than perhaps something like Farming Simulator might be, if nothing else. Still can't say it's necessarily going to be entirely compelling. Although I will say, if you guys, I don't know if you guys got this up on your Steam page at the minute, but have a look at the screenshots. Some of the screenshots are phenomenal. Actually, you see the screenshot? I was watching the trailer earlier of this. Some of these are just like ridiculously huge natural disasters that are just wiping out entire cities, and you as the emergency services need to respond to them. And there's one of them. There's a house that is flooded up to its roof in water with people sat on the roof, and there's just a cruise liner in the background. It was like, how did this happen? I know we're talking emergency here, but Jesus, this is Act of God Simulator at this point. At what point did the cruise liners go, shit, there used to be a dock here. I'm sure there was a harbour somewhere around here. Never mind, keep going.
The graphics actually seem not too bad on this.
It looks a lot better than... Well, actually, I was going to say it looks better than other simulators, but to be fair, we have seen some reasonably pretty looking simulators lately, to be honest. They don't look like the potatoes they used to. A lot of them actually do seem to be putting a bit of effort in that regard, which at least I suppose makes them at least somewhat compelling from that respect. I suspect, even when they look good, there's often kind of not particularly great physics, though. It's just kind of, you drive into something, it's still just going to bounce off harmlessly or just come to a stop, and there's no, like... You're not going to take like vehicular damage or anything, I don't think.
I'm looking on Google Images, and one of the screenshots makes it look like the city has been hit by a comet.
That's probably true, and obviously it's up to the fire department to put that comet out.
Yeah, because that's the first person I'm calling.
Yeah, basically. As I say, the scenarios in this look ludicrous. It's probably worth checking out for that alone. I really want that actually sounds quite fun. If there's gonna be a comet hits the city and it looks this good, I want to play Comet Hitting the City Simulator. Actually, that'd be cool.
I have to say, I want to be the one causing these natural disasters if I'm playing a simulator.
Well, yes.
I will only purchase it if I have the option to call Bruce Willis.
Well, get onto them, get that added as DLC. Here's the emergency service you need to call. 911, who do you require? Bruce Willis.
Get up into space, Bruce Willis, sort this out.
That one again, that's another 40 quid title, so ouch. That's got a sting in the tail there.
Oh dear.
That's a lot of money just to watch a comet hit a city. When you could just watch Armageddon.
Found in reasonable bargain bins near you.
Indeed. We also have Wings of V, which is another indie 2D platformery thing, presumably also harkening back to retro games of old. This one looks like they're going for the Super Meat Boy thing, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
The brutally hard, ridiculously nasty things with split-second timing, and here's a room entirely made out of saw blades and a 1 millimeter square of ground you're allowed to stand on, kind of thing. Some people are into that. I prefer a game I can complete.
Yep.
Unless
You
it's
mean like World of
Wildstar.
Warcraft?
Yes, exactly like World of Warcraft.
That's a burn.
I don't play World of Warcraft, I play Wildstar.
Which is totally the same thing.
To be fair, World of Warcraft is actually newbie friendly now because they've got like looking for raid and stuff. Wildstar's like way worse, but yeah. If you're going to pick out games that are horrible and impossible to complete, World of Warcraft's not the best example.
Yeah.
I swear we've mentioned the next game on this list.
Have we mentioned the next game? What is the next? I haven't seen the next game on this list. Oh, no. We looked at Rugby 15 before.
Oh, okay, so this is completely different.
This is totally different. This is miles different. This is the difference between FIFA and Football Manager.
Oh, okay, right.
This is Rugby Union Team Manager 2015.
Which is when you're in charge of the rugby team.
Which is presumably when you're in charge of the rugby team, yes. I imagine the similarities to be drawn between Rugby and Rugby Union Team Manager are probably very similar to those between FIFA and Football Manager.
Yeah, I suspect you
One
might
would
be right.
wager. If you're into your rugby,
This is for
it's
you.
a good year for rugby. I didn't know rugby games were that prolific, but there's 2 in 2 weeks this year. Rugby is the year of rugby.
Oh, in fact, I think there's a Rugby World Cup going on at the moment.
Oh, is there actually? Oh, maybe that's it. They're trying to cash in on that. Maybe.
It's just like you made it sound like there's 2 rugby games this year. It's a good year for rugby.
Yeah, but how many rugby games have you ever historically heard of? FIFA is like well established as being a year in year out thing. Football Manager, year in year out. Pro Evo Soccer, year in year out. You can guarantee those 3 games every single year throughout history. I have never in my life ever heard of a rugby game. We've had 2 in 2 weeks.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. I thought you meant. I thought you said that. I don't think there had been 2 rugby games this year. I thought you actually meant like the physical games taking place.
Oh, okay. You mean right rugby? No, I meant rugby video games.
Okay, I take back my previous objection.
Right. I understand the misunderstanding though. It's got pictures of rugby players and everything. I'm just looking at the screenshots and like, this is not for me.
A rugby game with pictures of rugby players. My God.
Yes.
What's next?
What's next is Foresight, which I did have a look at this earlier in the week. Actually, it kind of caught my eye. Just some of the screenshots are like really kind of pretty artistic scenes. There's some fairly nice artwork gone into this, and then the gameplay is like absolutely nothing related whatsoever. It still looks really good, but nothing related. It is an RTS, and they are alleging to redefine the strategy within RTS. Win epic battles with wits, not dexterity. Actions per minute still apply, but it isn't a requirement for victory. So I guess they're trying to make an RTS which appeals to people who are not Korean androids.
Cool.
Which, to be fair, I can get behind that because I'm not a Korean android, and you know what, RTS kind of interests me. And I think the main turning off point for me, historically speaking, is that I am not a Korean android with 300 APM. So, hey, that's cool.
They've shot you in the heart with that one.
I wouldn't mind taking a look at it, whether or not, I don't know. It's like, second guess your opponents, they won't be needing to spend time on intricate build order, so, yeah. More to it than just clicking a lot of times and getting everything split second correct, it seems. or allegedly anyway, which I like the sound of. So cool.
Cool.
I don't know how it's different, but as I say, I wouldn't mind taking a look. As I say, it also looks quite nice as well. It's good. A lot of very vibrant, bright, colourful explosions in space. It's always fun.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely not. That's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the Steam releases for the week, though. So, if you'd like to wrap things up, we can get the heck out of here.
Okay, yep. Thank you very much for listening to us. We appreciate it. If you want to find out more information about Buttermash and the events and the services we do, you can follow us on Facebook at
facebook.com/buttonmash.
Follow us on Twitter at
twitter.com/button_mash_UK.
If you want to check out John's YouTube videos, you can find him on YouTube at
youtube.com/buttonmashempire.
If you want to check out our presence on Steam, that can be found at
bit.ly/bmsteam.
If you want to check out our Buttermash website, that is at
button-mash.net.
And if you want to find out more about potentially giving John money for YouTube on Patreon, that can be located at
patreon.com/buttonmash.
Missed anything there, ever?
I love how resentful you invariably sound just delivering that last one every time. You're like, oh, if I have to say this.
It's a forced segue. Oh,
you didn't mind delivering it earlier.
Oh, wait, I have forgotten something. We're doing something next weekend, aren't we?
Oh, yes, the Festival of Pastimes. We will be exhibiting briefly for a few hours at the Festival of Pastimes in Bradford, the location in which still eludes me, so I'm going to have to look it up yet again. You can find out details at festivalofpastimes.org for all the details there, but we shall be at the South Square Gallery in Thornton near Bradford between 12 and 3 p.m. We'll be bringing down some games consoles and Giant Jenga, because Giant Jenga's awesome, and should be a good time. You can come check us out. If you're not familiar with what we do, you can come have a look and get a taster.
Yep. And thank you very much for listening. We appreciate it. And on behalf of myself and on behalf of John.
Thank you.
And on behalf of Will.
Thank you.
This has been the Buttermash Podcast. I've been Michael, and we'll see you next week. Adios.
Bye.
Cheery bye.